Hi guys, so I'm back as promised with part 2 of my first bodybuilding show. I know it's been a long time since I've released a YouTube, been very busy. Obviously I've relocated to Derby, so been settling down with work, PTing, doing my online coaching, and then I've had loads of family events going on as well. My brother got married in Thailand, so I was out there for his wedding. In fact, he had 3 weddings. He had one in London, then in Thailand, and then another celebration in the UK, all to the same woman, I must add. But it's really nice to have a sister-in-law, so I'm really grateful for that. So life's been busy, but in wonderful ways. I finally got round to sitting down to do this YouTube, so here we are. So what happened post-show? So obviously I did the UK DFBA show last year in September, and I was meant to be doing the Two Bros Natural show 7 weeks later. My first show went really well. I was super pleased with that, and I was buzzing to work towards my second show, but in between that time I sort of lost my head. So I was prepared for post-show because I was well aware that you needed to reverse out the diet slowly for health reasons. I was aware about people talking about the post-show blues, but no one really discusses or made me aware of how it feels in between shows. So it's a really weird one. Between shows, my output was decreased totally. I went from doing an hour of cardio a day to no cardio at all. Food was slightly increased. I was getting a weekly refeed of Five Guys, and it kind of just felt like I wasn't on prep anymore. It felt really strange. My head just went a bit. 7 weeks in between shows, it's quite a long time. And I also had some big life events happening in the meantime as well. So obviously when you're on prep and you've been dieting that long, your head's in a bit of a weird, funny place anyway. And then I think on top of all of these things, I just kind of lost it. So I did my first show, then I relocated back to Reading, which is a big life event in itself. I had really mixed feelings about it. It was sort of bittersweet. I sort of left behind a life I was sort of built in Birmingham, which I really liked, but then was pulled back by different factors and missing family and friends, among other things. So that's a big life event in itself, which can kind of boggle your mind a bit. But then also I had a bit of prep brain, prep goggles, and I felt like I wasn't ready for the next show. My body image was pretty bad, so I felt like I wasn't in condition. I felt like I was fat. Objectively speaking, obviously I wasn't, and I was extremely lean, but I was pulling myself apart, I was tearing myself apart. I felt fat, I didn't feel ready, and my brain was just boggled because, again, I wasn't doing cardio, my food was higher, but I felt worse. And when you're on prep, it's normal to sort of become very critical of yourself because it is a competition based on how your body looks, but it was just making me miserable, and I just felt so hopeless, so defeated, and I was battling with it. I was trying to keep ticking the boxes, doing what I needed to do to get towards that second show. But I think a combination of a change in environment, probably a bit of a post-show blues from the first show. You obviously have a massive adrenaline spike and then drop, and other life events, just sort of deep down, I just knew I wasn't ready and not feeling right. And I think from a place of not feeling like I wanted to do the second show, but not being ready to admit it, I ended up going on a couple of binges, which obviously isn't ideal, which obviously isn't healthy, but I think looking back at it, it was almost a self-sabotage to get myself out of the show. I really enjoyed the first show. I really loved the experience, but I think having that time in between, that no man's land, and also just having to rebuild my life alongside that, obviously relocating, it just got to me and I sort of crumbled, and I knew deep down that mentally I was just in a bad place, and there was just no point in doing it when I didn't feel ready. I wasn't feeling good. There was just no point to it. And deep down, you just need to trust your gut. Deep down, I just knew that it wasn't my time. And here's a little clip of when I sort of released the decision that I wasn't doing the second show. You can see that I'm quite emotional. I found it quite a hard decision to make. I felt sort of disappointed in myself, but also a massive sense of relief. And I was so blessed to be surrounded by family and friends, so many supportive and loving messages applauding me for making this decision, because it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I could have very easily just pushed on, done the second show, even though I knew deep down it wasn't right for me at the time. But I stayed authentic to what I felt and made the decision that ultimately I knew was going to be the best, healthiest decision for myself. Hi guys, so it's been a minute since I've really spoken about prep or anything like that. Last couple of weeks I've really not been feeling myself, and things have not been great. Basically wasn't feeling myself, and kind of just snapped and broke a little bit. I didn't really anticipate understand how I'd be feeling in between shows. 7 weeks in between shows is quite a long time. And I kind of just snapped. Like, even though my food was up and my output was down, I almost felt worse. I think, obviously I didn't know what to expect, but I think obviously you get the high of adrenaline and then you crash. And then mentally, I've really just got a bit prep goggly. So I started to feel like I was getting really bad body dysmorphia. And then I ended up going on binges, and go into that sort of dark binge restrict mentality, which I didn't suffer from at all in my first prep. But yeah, my mental health just went through the floor, and just my body was just not feeling good either. So I was binging and then trying to bring it back. I made the call to not do this second show. It's a hard pill to swallow, and I'm obviously quite disappointed. Because in my decision, I knew deep down that mentally it wasn't going to be good for me, and I wasn't feeling good in myself. I felt like my body wasn't looking good. I didn't feel like my body was responding. Mentally I was just messed up. So even though obviously I've had the support of my coach and everyone around me, just deep down and gut wise, I just wasn't comfortable with the idea of getting on stage. With how I was feeling, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and it was just making the stress and the binges worse. So for my own sort of mental and physical health, I have decided to pull out at this second show. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons behind it, really. Like, the cons personally for me are outweighing any pros. And like, obviously got that thing in the back of my mind, am I going to regret this? But I think deep down you just know, and I'd be untrue to myself and lying to myself if I forced myself into doing a second show, knowing deep down that I'm not happy. So yeah, it wouldn't be true to myself, and I'm quite sort of always believe you need to be true to yourself, and yeah, that's what I'm doing. So even though not everyone might agree with this decision, people might say push through, you're so close and all of this, and I get that. I have considered that. You just kind of know. So that's where I am. Obviously my feelings are very mixed. I'm quite emotional at the moment anyway, just because of where I'm at Body fat percentage wise, hormonally, my sleep's been awful. But yeah, not been easy these last couple of weeks, but you just got to stay true to yourself. Be brave, stick to your gut feeling, make the decisions that are right for you. So, as you can see, I wasn't feeling great, but I did feel a sense of relief as soon as I made that decision. And I'd already sort of booked the Airbnb and everything for the comp. I paid for everything, all of this kind of thing. Instead of dwelling, it was a decision I made. I decided just to still go up to Manchester, took my best friend with me. We had a great weekend, just shopping, enjoying food, all of that kind of thing. And my loved ones were a little bit worried that I'd go up there and regret not being at the show, not competing that weekend, especially being in the same city. But I had no sense of that whatsoever. I was really happy. I had a great time and it was the right decision, 100%. So the moral of the story is basically always trust your gut and follow a decision that authentically aligns with you. It wasn't my time to compete at that time, and it's just as well. I think everything happens for a reason, because when I was due to compete in October, I had some major things going on in my personal life which basically turned my whole world upside down. So I think everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad I pulled out of that second show, regained back a bit of health before obviously everything kicked off on that side of things, and then I was in a healthier, stronger position to deal with things going on in that respect too. It also doesn't mean quitting is always a failure. Sometimes quitting is actually the best and bravest thing you can do for yourself if you know you've given it your all and you just have nothing left, which is how I felt at the time. And you can never regret something if you know you've put in 100% effort and there's nothing more you could have done, which is how I felt. So after making that decision, I had a few months off just to realign, get back to health, enjoy life, enjoy socializing, get back on my feet. And yeah, it was great. But then after a while, I missed the sort of structure. I felt like I wasn't finished yet. So then I'm back here again, hopefully working towards a good season next year. So obviously some people might look at this and think, oh my goodness, she pulled out that second show, she's not going to be able to do another prep, she couldn't handle it, all of that kind of thing. But don't let anyone ever tell you you're not able to do something. Anyone that's been successful is going to have faced struggles, failures along the way. But in my eyes, a failure is never a failure if you learn a lesson from it. And like I said, I believe everything happens for a reason. I am now in a new environment that is more optimal for my journey. I'm able to focus on myself. I don't have any sort of personal life drama bothering me anymore. That chapter's nice and closed, and I can just move on with my life, onwards and upwards, and look forward into the next season. I've got a new coach now as well, so it's going to be a different approach. It's going to be exciting to see how I look next season, and the focus for me is not only developing my physique, but developing myself mentally as well. So I'm stronger, more resilient, not only in terms of being able to handle prep, but anything that life might throw at me outside of that as well. If you want to see more and more videos, then like, share and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you on the next.